Welcome everybody to RSUN News. Today we have two very special guests joining us. Please give a warm round of applause for book critics Tyler Potter and Emma Wallace.
Hey peeps, so it's Emma bringing you another character analysis about different dreams within Raisin of the Sun. Also, follow my YouTube channel where I go in-depth about different...
Boring. Hey fellow Cougs, it's your boy Teapot, about to drop some shade on Lena Younger.
So today, we're going to be diving into the viability of their dreams and how they contribute to the character overall. Emma, do you have any input to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I think Mrs. Younger's dreams mostly revolve around the care for her family and the success of her children. However, she also lives through her children's dreams. For example, in Act 1, Scene 1, Lena says, "Seems like God didn't see fit to give any black woman nothing but dreams, but he did give us children to make dreams seem worthwhile."
It seems a little selfless, huh?
Yeah, many times throughout the book, she presents her dreams to her family. She sacrifices so much to give the best for them. Around Scene 2, page 95 of the book, Lena tells her family what she did with some of the money from her husband's insurance. She bought a house in an all-white neighborhood. Lena was so sick of being in a beat-up house, she used what she had to buy a better place for her family, especially with the baby on the way.
Although Lena's dream of providing the best for her family is flawed due to the lack of support around her. For example, on page 54, the narrator read, "Mama absorbs this speech, studies her daughter, and rises slowly and crosses to Beneatha and slaps her powerfully across the face. After there's only silence and the daughter drops her eyes from her mother's face and Mama is very tall before her. Even though she thinks she is doing what is best for her children, throughout the entire play she struggles to connect with them. She does not support Walter's dream of owning a liquor store and does not support Beneatha and her lack of faith in God. But an example of a more viable dream would be that of Oscar in his dream returning to Africa and bringing Beneatha with him because he has the support that is needed to accomplish such a dream."
Hold on. You believe that Asagai's dream is more realistic?
Absolutely, due to the present situations that I'm sure we'll discuss later.
Why in the world would you believe that having to leave your family to go to college where you also socially challenged because of your race would be way more realistic than supporting your family and succeeding socially?
Oh, harsh.
This is so obvious. Why can't you wrap your head around the idea that her dream is fake news? Let me break this down so you can understand it. Oscar was in a position where he was wealthy enough to travel back and forth from Nigeria. He also gained the trust and support of Beneatha throughout the entire play through helping her discover her roots. At the end of the play, Beneatha actually considers his marriage proposal and returning with him to Nigeria. Oscar had all the necessary means to fulfill his dream, while Lena, as an African-American woman, did not. And according to an article on Khan Academy, African-American women, as well as women of lower socioeconomic standing, were not portrayed in popular culture as wives and mothers. In fact, these women were hardly portrayed at all. Although African Americans have been hugely influential in popular culture throughout the 20th century, the 1950s were a very whitewashed decade from the standpoint of the mass media. Additionally, many African American women were forced by economic necessities to work outside of the home, and were thus excluded from the post-war ideal of domesticity. Even though Oscar was African and experienced racial discrimination for himself, Lena had it worse because she was a woman rather than a man, and that just has to do with how society worked back then. And that clearly resembles why his dream is more viable than Lena's.
Fair.
Even though Lena might not seem like she's progressed in her dream, considering her new house being taken away and most of her money being lost, she's already been through so much in order to get her family to the place they're at now. In the article, "The Long-Lasting Legacy of the Great Migration," the author states, Back then, millions of African Americans had already testified with their bodies to the repression they had endured in the Jim Crow laws by defecting to the North and the West in what came known as the Great Migration. Along with physical restrictions, there were even social restrictions for people of color throughout the rest of America. With issues as little as hair discrimination, they have long-lasting effects. In the podcast 99%, The Hair Chart, this source runs through many themes and opinions people had back in the day when women of color were not respected or treated fairly based on the texture and appearance of their hair. Individuals and women in society would judge themselves based on the hair chart, in which they stated where women had straighter hair were more respected than women with natural hair. However, within the next couple decades, women realized that the hair system, or classifying hair, and started rebelling because it was not right. This plays into some views of Lena in the book and dreams due to the fact that even though she's a woman of color, she still believes that women should be respected, and she wants a family that is extremely successful no matter what harsh expectations might be pushed onto them. Lena just wants an admirable family, even if it means sacrificing her materialistic dreams in the process.
Well, that's stupid. Why would you even? Why?
No.
What?
Well, okay, whoa. calm down. You guys do realize that you're basically arguing for and against the same thing, right? Like, there's no need for this sort of hostility. You see, Asuka has dreams of Benitha becoming a doctor, wedding her, and helping his village, right? And Lena has dreams along the lines of bettering her family's overall situation, as evident when she buys a nice house in a less dangerous neighborhood. Correct? Well, it is clear that they both have and want to pursue these dreams for the betterment of people in a selfless manner, be it for the people of Nigeria or quite simply their family. So how are these characters really any different?
Okay, I guess.
Exactly. And on top of that, both were affected in some way by the situation presented to them, primarily that of racial discrimination and Jim Crow laws. In fact, this situation acted as a barrier for both of their dreams, directly or indirectly. As stated in PBS's Lynching in America article, African Americans began to make political and economic inroads by registering to vote, establishing businesses, and running for public office. Many whites, primarily landowners and poor whites, felt threatened by this rise in black prominence. This shows that there is a dominant white crowd in these high-income jobs and positions, and that they have continued that through lynching to invoke fear in the African American crowd.
Fair.
Yeah, bet it's fair. And that sort of situation acts as a barrier for Lena's dreams of moving her family's lives on up, because the fear and discrimination pushes an expectation that she shouldn't, as it is dangerous and creates a hostile environment. Such an environment is hinted at when Lindner states, well, people can get awfully worked up when they feel that their whole way of life and everything they've ever worked for is threatened. Continuously, in Chicago Mag's How White Housing Changed Chicago article, this discriminatory environment is outlined in the field of housing, especially evident because it refers to the setting of the book. Author Wet Moser states, Chicago and Baltimore share this history, perhaps more closely than any others. Baltimore preceded Chicago in implementing racial covenants, legal agreements among homeowners to keep blacks out of their neighborhoods. In 1911, it passed a segregation ordinance intended to have the same effect. The intensity of homeowners pushing blacks out of their neighborhoods, expressed in the quote, acts to outline this barrier for Lena to a further, more specific degree, not allowing her to move into less ghetto neighborhoods. Similarly, since Benitha is almost unable to go to medical school because of the discriminatory expectations, as the white majority in those high-income positions push to continue that majority, Asuka's dreams cannot be fulfilled. This realistic situation defers both of their dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, that got interesting. Regardless, we are in fact out of time.
Boo!
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry guys, but can't stay on forever. In any case, nice critical analysis from both of you guys, and I'm glad we were all able to learn something along the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Make sure to catch us next week on RSUN News.
Bye.
Bye gamers!